Hello grade 8, welcome to the first extra lessons video. We are going to tackle chapter 4, numeric and geometric patterns. So numeric just means numbers and geometric just means with shapes, so triangles or objects that make different shapes. So we're just looking at those kind of patterns. Now if we look at patterns, I've got an example here, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. And this may sound very familiar to you because this is the 4 times tables. So I know with each one, I'm adding 4. Okay, and I did this by taking 8 and I minused 4, and I got 4. Then I took 12 and I minused 8 and I get 4. 16 minus 2 gives 4. So if you're not sure if you can identify the difference, just take so if this is term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, term 5, take term 2 minus term 1, take term 3 minus term 2, and you should get a constant difference in grade 8. Okay, so right now we're looking at constant difference patterns. So with these constant different patterns, we want to get a formula to be able to answer if they ask us what's the 20th pattern. Okay, so what's the 20th term? So remember, these are your terms. So term 1 gives you 4, term 2 gives you 8, term 3 gives you 12. So if they want the 20th term, it's very difficult for us to go add 4 every time until we get to 20, because what if they ask us for the 50th term? So to find the formula, what we're going to do is we're going to see what the pattern produces. So what did it go through to be able to produce this pattern? Okay, so with this one, we've got a constant difference of 4. And like you guys saw in the explanation video, the easiest way, if you've got 4, or let's say, 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, okay? It's easier for us to go 4 times 4 because this 4 happened 4 times. So that's why we've got n. So n is a variable, so we use letters to signify values that we don't know. Okay, so n, so we're saying whatever term we're going to put in, we're going to times that by 4, okay, to get our answer. Now this one works because it's 1 times 4 gives me 4. 2 times 4 gives me 8. 3 times 4 gives me 12. So this is my formula. Okay, so I can take the 20th term and I go 20 times 4, and that will give me 80. Okay, another easy way to do this. So say now we've got 14, 21, 28, 35. Is to put this in a table form. So if we've got our term here, okay, and we've got our output, okay, so term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, okay, and we can put our nth term to find our formula. So this is your first term, second term, third term, fourth term. So my first term gave me 14, my second term gave me 21, my third term gave me 28, and my 35th term, my fourth term gave me 35. Okay, so now I see what is happening here. So if I take 21 minus 14, I get 7. Let me see if there's a constant difference. Let me take 28 minus 21. What do I get? I get 7. So every single time I'm adding 7. So what did we say was the easiest? We say n times 7. Now let's see if this works without adding or subtracting anything. So I take 1. Okay, remember n is your term because it's a variable. We don't know the value. Okay, so we want a formula so that we can put in any term there to get an answer. So 1 times 7 gives me 7. Now that doesn't give me 14. So what do I need to add to get to 14? Okay, so I've got 7. So plus 7 would give me 14. So let me see if this works for the second term. So 2 times 7 gives me 14. Plus 7 gives me 21. So that works. So I have to first multiply it by 7 and then add 7. So let's just check if it works for the third term. So 3 times 7 gives me 21, plus 7 gives me 28, and that works. So if you guys work better with a flow diagram, and I'm sure you guys have seen this in the previous years, if you work better in a flow diagram, what is happening to my term? So if I put in 1, so if I put in term 1, the first thing that happens to it is I'm timesing it by 7. Okay? And then I'm adding 7. So if I go 1 times 7 gives me 7, plus 7 gives me 14. So if I've got my fourth term, then I go 4 times 7 gives me 28, plus 7 gives me 35. And I can do it for the 20th term. So say now they want, what does the 20th term give me? So 20 times 7 is 140, plus 7 gives me 147. So if they ask me, what will my 20th term give me, I'll be able to work it out. Okay, so let's move on to our geometric pattern. So just so that we can understand, so this is a numeric pattern, so this goes up in numbers. Your geometric pattern is, say now you make a pattern out of matches, which makes triangles, and you put it into a table. So this is a geometric pattern. So it's a pattern made by shapes. Okay, so figure number, we've got figure 1, figure 2, figure 3, figure 4, and then we don't have figure 5. Okay, so we've got number of matches for figure 1 is 1, 2, 3. Figure 2 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Figure 3 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so if we take 5 minus 3, that gives us 2. If we take 7 minus 5, that gives us 2. If we take 9 minus 7, that gives us 2. So there's a constant difference of 2. Okay? So if we go 5, all we need to do is add 2. So 9 plus 2 gives me 11. Now they ask me for the nth one. So no matter what term I put in, they need a formula so that we can see how many matches we'll get. So for the n, what did we do? So the first thing we did, because we've got a constant difference of 2, I know I'm going to multiply by 2. Okay, so if I put 1 there and I go 1 times 2, that gives me 2. What do I need to add or subtract to give me 3? So if I go 1 times 2, that gives me 2. If I add 1, that will give me 3. Let's check for the second one. So if I go 2 times 2 gives me 4, plus 1 gives me 5. So the second step I'm going to do is plus 1. So this means I took my term number, so this number up here, I times it by 2 and I added 1. So this means if I had 1, I times it by 2, I added 1 and I got 3. Okay, so now they say how many matches are needed for figure 200. So it would be very difficult for us to draw this until the 200th figure. So what we do is we put in 200 here. So 200 times 2 gives me 400, plus 1 gives me 401. So the way I'm writing this is because I've got a formula here, I'll write my formula down. So n times 2 plus 1. So that gives me, and I'm putting in 200, so 200 times 2 plus 1. So this gives me 401 matches. Okay, so remember to write matches there so we know what you're speaking about. So it says find the number of matches needed for figure n. So when they say needed for figure n, they just want this formula. So we've already worked it out. Sometimes you wouldn't have, but this would be your number of matches. So then this will equal your number of matches. Okay. So that's another example of a geometric pattern. Now this is also another geometric pattern that you might come across. So we've got 4 figures here. In the first pattern number, we've got 1 square. In the second, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like we kept the 1 from the first one and then just added 3. Okay? Then the third one, it looks like we took this pattern, so here's that pattern, and we just added 3. Okay, so it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The fourth one, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so if we want to find the constant difference, we already saw it, it's basically 3. So 4 minus 1 is 3, 7 minus 4 is 3, 10 minus 7 is 3. So we can already assume 10 plus 3 is 13 for the fifth one. So what is happening with this pattern? So because it's a constant difference, what did we say? We're timesing by 3. Okay, so we're timesing by 3, and then what do we need to add to be able to get to this number or subtract? Okay, so do you see that we've got 3, 1 for the first term. 1 times 3 is 3. Now we need to get to 1. So what do? We minus 2. So if we take the second term and we say 2 times 3, that's 6. To get to 4, we need to minus 2. So there's a constant of a minus 2. So if we take the 6th, or let's check for the 5th. So for the 5th one, if I put in 5, I'm going to times that by 3, which gives me 15. Minus 2 gives me 13. And that's correct. So I know my formula works. Okay? So how many squares will be in pattern? 15. So if we put 15 in here, so 15 times 3, that gives me 45. Minus 2 gives me 43. So how I'm going to put this here is my formula is n times 3 minus 2. So it will be 15 times 3 minus 2. So this gives me 43 squares. I hope that you guys understood this video. If you still don't understand, then please ask me questions during the consultation times.